So the definition of an asset is something that puts money in your pocket whether you work or not.
Have you ever wondered how the wealthy seem to get richer while you're stuck in the 9-to-5 grind? Well, over 80% of wealthy individuals attribute their success to one key habit: investing. Today we'll be uncovering the 8 secret assets that allow the rich to never have to work again. How you can get started with little to no money. And if you stick around until the end of the video, I'll reveal the biggest financial mistakes that keep people poor. That way you can avoid them. So imagine that you're the boss of your own life. There's no clocking in to work or taking orders from someone else. And the thing we're talking about here has the potential to make you very rich, very fast. But it's also kind of risky. It starts off slow and can be really tough, but if you stick with it, the payoff can be huge. So let's talk about a guy who had a cool idea. He found this little coffee place that was kind of special. It wasn't like any regular coffee shop. This one had a vibe that he thought could be a big hit everywhere. However, this guy wasn't rolling in cash when he started. But what he had was a game-changing idea about changing how we all enjoy our coffee. At first, he was told no a lot, and getting people to believe in his dream was really hard. But he kept at it, and his little idea started getting big, really big. It spread from a single location to hundreds of locations, and then to thousands all over the world. The guy's name? Howard Schultz. And that small coffee store? That turned into Starbucks. So the first asset is starting and owning your own business. You begin with an idea, one that maybe no one else has thought of, and you turn it into a reality. This puts you in control of nearly everything, and there's no limit to how much you can make. But in order to do it well, you need this next important asset. It's the one resource that even billionaires can't afford to waste. Back in 2005, there was this woman named Arianna who worked like crazy to build something huge. In the beginning, she had her hands in everything, putting in tons of hours and doing a million different things. That's because she wasn't just trying to build a business, she was after something way bigger. But when her project started to take off, Arianna did something smart. She started hiring talented people to take some of the responsibility from her. Why? Because she knew she couldn't do it all herself and keep the business growing at the same time. Since her time was a limited resource, she had to dedicate her efforts to the most important parts of the business. And this decision allowed her to turn her company, the Huffington Post, into the juggernaut that it is today. So the lesson here is that sure, working hard and smart in the beginning is crucial, but eventually you need to start reinvesting your revenue to buy back some of your time. Learn how to outsource the tasks that others can do better than you, while you focus on the things that you do best. So, think like Arianna Huffington. The thing you need to value most isn't always your money, but your time. Use this second asset, your time, wisely, and you can do remarkable things. Have you ever thought about how some people turn a little bit of money into a huge pile of cash without creating a tech startup or making a fortune in the stock market? Well, let's look at Barbara. She started out with $1,000 and a big dream. And because Barbara didn't grow up rich, she borrowed this tiny bit of cash and jumped into a big adventure in the busy streets of New York City. Her plan? To help people find cool places to live or work. Sounds simple, but it was actually a pretty big deal. Barbara was really good at spotting awesome places that other people just walked by. And she wasn't just selling properties, she was making a whole vision come to life. Bit by bit, her small project started getting bigger, as she could see the hidden gems in buildings and neighborhoods that others missed. Each smart choice she made helped her grow her wealth. Time went by, and Barbara became a big name in the real estate world. She wasn't only selling properties, she was investing and making her business bigger and better. What began as a small initiative ended up being a huge company called the Corcoran Group. Barbara proved that with some smart thinking, bravery, and sticking to it, the third asset of investing in real estate can really pay off long term. It's not about getting rich quick, but about growing your money step by step, turning a little into a lot. Now, what if the richest person in the world told you their biggest regret wasn't about money? Well, let's talk about Steve Jobs, the guy who made Apple what it is today. He did some amazing things and made tons of money along the way. But when he got really sick, he started thinking differently. Steve was all about making Apple huge, and he worked incredibly hard on it. But he didn't take care of his health, and that caught up with him. Even with all his money, he couldn't buy more time or get better when he got really ill. When he was very sick, Steve looked back at his life, and he said he'd give all his money just for a bit more time, or to be healthy again. That's when it hit him. Being healthy is super important, no matter how rich or successful you are. You can't just go to a store and buy good health. Sure, working hard and making money is great, but don't forget to look after yourself. Your health is priceless. Once it's gone, it's tough, sometimes impossible, to get it back. So don't take the fourth asset, your health, for granted. It's really the most important thing you've got. Have you ever wondered how everyday people can play the same money-making game as billionaires, right from their laptops or smartphones? Well, let me introduce you to Peter Lynch, a real wizard when it comes to managing money. Peter didn't start a mega company or invent something crazy. He did something way simpler, but super smart. Peter began with a small amount of cash, but he had a talent for picking the right stocks. He was just a regular guy who was really good at figuring out which companies to invest in. Peter was into the fifth asset that wealthy individuals invest in, which is called paper assets. These include things like stocks and bonds. So he invested his money into these paper assets and watched them grow like crazy. He even ran a big fund called Magellan at Fidelity Investments and made it super successful. Now imagine making around 29% on your money every year. Well, that's what he did. So Peter's story shows that you don't need a truckload of cash to start. What you need is to get going, learn as you go, and make smart decisions. Investing in things like stocks and bonds can boost your money way more than keeping cash in the bank. But what if the most valuable asset in your wealth-building arsenal is something you do every day? Well, that's what Julie Sweet used to get to the top of a huge company called Accenture. And she wasn't just given the position straight away. Julie began her career as a lawyer, which is already a pretty tough job requiring special skills. But Julie had something extra. She was always keen to learn new stuff and get better at different things. Julie knew that the sixth asset, her skill set, makes you more important in the business world. So she didn't just stick to learning law. She learned about how to manage people, studied the tech industry, and educated herself on how to become a leader. Every new thing she learned was like unlocking another ability for her character in a video game. All this learning and getting better at different things helped Julie become the CEO of Accenture. So if you want the key to unlocking new levels of wealth, then invest into developing your skill set. Are there any skills that you're currently lacking in that could help you level up in your career? If you can stack complementary skills together, your value in the marketplace will increase. Now, what if the best way to protect your wealth is with something as simple as what's on your breakfast table? Let me tell you about John Paulson. You might not know him like you know tech billionaires, but his story is pretty cool. Paulson wasn't into tech, he made his fortune in a different way. Back in the early 2000s, before the big financial mess, Paulson noticed something was off. He thought tough times were coming, so he put his money into gold. Why gold? Well, for thousands of years, gold has been a safe thing to own when fiat currency gets shaky. When the financial crisis hit and everything else in the market was going down, gold's price shot up. While lots of people were losing money, Paulson's choice to stick with gold made him a billionaire. So, the seventh asset we're talking about here is commodities. Commodities include things like gold, oil, and even grains. And John Paulson's story is a reminder that while the economy could come crashing down, physical commodities will always remain valuable. Did you know one of the most powerful assets today can be built right from your couch and cost little to nothing to get started? Let's now look at Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a big deal in social media and business in general. But guess what? He didn't start in some flashy office. He began with just loving wine and having a computer, no heaps of money or a bunch of people to help him out. All he had was just a camera, the internet, and a real excitement for talking about what he knows. He began by making videos about wine, taking a lot of complicated information and making it fun and easy. Soon, people started watching. They weren't just checking out some guy talking about wine. They felt like they were listening to a friend. What's cool is Gary's online presence, which cost him nothing to start, turned into his biggest moneymaker. He used his growing fan base to boost his family's wine shop, and then went on to create a huge media business. So his journey shows how being yourself and sharing what you love online can really pay off. And that brings us to online assets, which represent our eighth and final asset of this video. People typically go to YouTube and other social media platforms for one of two reasons. They either want to learn something or they want to be entertained. If you have some knowledge to share, you can start creating content and building an audience on social media platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and others. From there, you can monetize the audience through advertising, affiliate programs, brand sponsorships, and more. You could also create your own online assets to sell, like ebooks, audiobooks, templates, and how-to videos. The options truly are endless. We've now covered the 8 best assets to invest in that can make you rich. But if you're bad at managing money, then you'll never build up enough of it to invest and make it grow. So check out this next video on the 5 biggest habits keeping you poor and how to break them. See you there.